did, then you would see the
Pat
difference in
taping.
there.
It's taping.
Oh shit.
What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? As you can see, I'm sitting here. I'm about to bring y'all the last episode. The latest episode, not the last episode. Ooh, the latest episode of Power. Okay, we are still in season 16. We are episode 14. As you can see, I have a guest with me. She probably won't be on camera, but she in the house. So, with that being said, we start this episode off. This is Tate's version of the story, right? So we start this episode off with Tate is drunk. Tate is at a local bar. He is drunk. He's trying to push up on the waitress, telling the waitress it'll be the best night of her life. The waitress was like, "Ciao, bye." She ends up calling his brother to come and get him. Clearly, this is somewhere he goes often. Everybody knows everybody. So he wakes up the next morning in his nephew's bed. He's hungover, and his brother, they look like they got the nice little picket fence family. His brother, his wife, and the little boy. Now, that's Cuba Gooding's son, brother, right? The guy, isn't that Cuba Gooding Jr.'s brother? I thought it was. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I know y'all will. He tells them, what we find out is that his brother is also NYPD. Remember, Tate used to be NYPD. He lets the family know that the campaign is over. He tells them how things kind of went down. And then, of course, we hear the infamous news report that we've heard in every episode since Christmas about Ghost now cooking up with Walsh to run for governor. All right? Tate is so pissed off. Tate is so upset. He calls some heavy hitters. He calls some hitmen down from D.C. Now, look, Courtney Kemp, I got to beat the pick with you. Hold on. I'm going to be with you in a second. Calls some heavy hitters down from D.C. to come up and kill Ghost. Like, he is just in his feelings. Now, this is where we see Cedric the Entertainer. I don't know if y'all caught it or not, but that was Cedric the Entertainer that got shot, that got killed in the ambush that we've seen for we've seen 3 times. I don't know if y'all know that was him or not. But we see that clearly when Tate was a cop, he was a dirty cop. Anybody that have hitmen on speed dial, we know probably ain't on the up and up. And he even made a comment about Tate being a dirty cop, so we know that. He goes to the shooting range with his brother, and I can only assume that they just want us to see that he can shoot a bullseye, because he shot perfectly. And they get to talking about, well, what do you want to do now? Why don't you come back to the force? He was like, what are you talking about? It ain't over. It ain't over till the fat lady sing, and she ain't singing, and I still got a couple of tricks up my sleeve. We see him ambush Walsh and Althea, Ramona, aka Ramona. Shouts out to Paris the boss on that one. And the DNC rep that we saw fire, Warner last week or the week before last. And he rolls up on them, and he's basically trying to plead his case. And he was like, look, y'all telling me it's not my time. Y'all telling me to play nice until the next election. He was like, but that's the same thing y'all told Obama. And look at what Obama did. Y'all tried to tell Obama it wasn't his time. And then he did this and he did that. And look, he became president. And I'm sitting here like, bruh. Now, mind you, he in a hoodie in the middle of clearly a nice restaurant, because everybody else has on suits and business attire and stuff like that. And they were real polite to him, but they were basically like, if you don't get your ass out of here. Next thing we see Tate in the church talking to the pastor. Now, this conversation was a little weird to me, because I feel like there were some undertones in this conversation that maybe the pastor and Tate maybe had some dirty dealings going on, because he was like, you made a lot of promises to the community. You made a lot of promises to me. And the way he said it, I don't feel like he meant like food bank type promises. I kind of felt like it was some shit that wasn't on the up and up. Now, y'all tell me what y'all think. I feel that way, but I could be wrong. Y'all tell me how y'all feel. I know y'all will. Then we see Tate in his campaign office. Everybody jumping ship. Everybody realizing, people asking him for letters of recommendation and stuff like that. And that's when we see Sax and Blanca roll in. And we saw that scene where basically they tell him, look, if you can write an affidavit to indict Ghost, then we can take care of James St. Patrick, and you right back in the governor's mansion. So we saw that scene where he was like, I can tell you whatever you want to hear. Next thing you know, we see him and Cedric the Entertainer, and he's trying to call off the hit. And Said was like, dude, and what Said was thinking was, you calling me off because you found somebody else to do the job. And he was trying to explain to them, no, I'm calling you off because I don't need this dude killed anymore because I done figured out another way to take care of my problem. And Said is with his son, and he's like, nah, we done came all the way up here from DC. Who gonna take care of my expenses? Da-da-da-da-da. And Tate was like, dude, I'm not paying you nothing. Like, I'll let you, next time you be the first person I call, but I don't need you now. Now, a couple of things pissed me off about this scene, okay? The first thing that pissed me off about this scene is, Courtney Kemp, I'm going to need you to stop acting like Washington, D.C. is down in the deep, deep South. Because he was calling him all kinds of country. Said's character was listening to country music. Like, all of this shit. And I was like, why are you trying to... And the boy, he had a thick-ass country accent and everything. He had on cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. And I'm like, Courtney, have you ever been to D.C.? First of all, it don't take but 4 hours, 3.5 if you got a good foot, to get from D.C. to New York. How country do you think D.C. is? Then you got this man talking in a deep, like you would have thought he was from Mississippi or something. And I said, well, maybe they were only in D.C. to kill somebody. That's not where they live. They really do live down south. But when they showed Cedric sitting in his car, the car had D.C. tags. So I was a little in my feelings about that. As a native Washingtonian, I'm going to need you to stop making Washington, D.C. seem like, Mississippi circa 1968. Okay? Moving on. The second thing in this scene was, it seems to me that all Tate had to do was throw him a bone. If his normal going rate was $20,000, get that man $10,000 for his expenses and tell him to move on. But the fact that you didn't want to pay him nothing, and then the fact that he thought that you only called him off because somebody else did the job. And I ain't never seen a hitman that intent on killing somebody that for a job he wasn't getting paid for. Like, that whole scene didn't make sense to me. But then we see him following Ghost. Remember, it's that same scene where Ghost knows that somebody's following him, and then we see the people following him. So that was Cedric the Entertainer and his son following them to the ambush with him and Tommy. Okay. Then we see Tate, that scene where he went to Ghost, and we knew in that scene he was trying to warn Ghost about something. We didn't know what it was, but now we know he was trying to warn Ghost that there's some dudes out here trying to kill you. I tried to call it off, but I couldn't do it. But Ghost, arrogant ass, talking to him crazy, calling him all kinds of losers, bitch ass, whatever. Tate was kind of like, well, you gonna get what you get. Now, remember, this is from Tate's perspective, so we know that Ghost did talk to him crazy, but I feel like in Tate's mind, that scene was it was more harsh than what we remember it being coming from Ghost, but neither here nor there. Even in Ghost's version, it was really bad. Like, Ghost was nasty to him. And so, yeah, he went in there to call him off of the, to tell him that somebody's out to kill him. But yeah, I wouldn't, the way he talked to Tate, I wouldn't have said shit to him either. Then we have this scene where Tate goes to get coffee. And I think that part of this was a figment of Tate's imagination. But everybody in the coffee shop talked about how wonderful he was, and everybody wanted to take pictures, and everybody wanted his autograph, and like they would basically the whole coffee shop was kissing his ass. Now, I don't know if it necessarily went down quite that way, but he did get recognized. People did, because it kind of became a publicity, like a good publicity stunt for him. He goes back to the office, and old girl is there, the girl he was sleeping with, that used to work for him. He's there, and basically the DNC sent her to get him to you leaving? So they sent her, the DNC sent her to try to convince him to concede, to make a formal announcement, formally conceding that, he fully supports Walsh to bring unity to the party, and he basically told her, he was like, well, this what you could tell the DNC. You could tell the DNC, fuck them. He was like, and fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, you jump ship real quick. And, basically on her way out, he was like, and make sure you leave my keys on the way out. Because she still had keys to the office. So then we get to the scene where Ghost and Tommy get ambushed, and we finally find out who was following them and why. It was Cedric the Entertainer and his son. We saw Cedric get shot. The son is upset. The son he calls Tate after the whole thing is over with. He calls Tate and lets him know, look, you got my father killed. Tate was like, nah, I tried to tell y'all to leave him alone. You set us up. You didn't tell us it was going to be 2 men. You said he would be by himself. Tate was like, I told y'all to leave it alone. I told y'all to take y'all ass home. Like, that's what I told y'all to do. So, then later on that night, Tate is taking out the trash now. Why he's staying with his brother, I don't know why he's staying with his brother. But he was staying with his brother, and him and the nephew was taking the trash out. And the son rose up on Tate. He got the gun to him, and he's telling him, you got my father killed. You this, you that, and the other. And Tate's brother ends up shooting him. And Tate tells him this old bogus story about the guy was trying to rob him. Then he turned the guy into a crackhead. And his brother didn't believe him. His brother was like, so now he's a crackhead. He was like, in case you did not notice, that's just not the norm around here. Like, we don't just have crackheads roaming around in the alley robbing people. Like, maybe you would know if you came by and visited more often, but that's just not how things roll around here. So that lets you know that, like, that was the first inkling that you sort of got from his brother. Because up until then, you thought his brother was, like, all on board. That he thought his brother was, like, yes, you know, like, yes, and all that stuff. But that's the first inkling that you kind of get, that his brother know that Tate on that bullshit. You know what I mean? So then we see Tate. I kind of fast forward a little bit, but let's go back a second. Tate meets up with Tasha, and he tries to get Tasha to go in with him to go to the feds and tell the feds everything she knows about everything she knows about the business, to turn Ghost in, to get him indicted, this, that, and the other. Like, look, you know, they're going to go, you know, I talked to Blanca and them, and they have this, they have that. And Tasha was like, we got to stop him, because if we don't stop him before he gets to the governor's mansion, he's going to be unstoppable. And Tasha was like, you ain't figured out yet that he already is unstoppable? He is unstoppable. I'm going to need you to just accept it, and I'm going to need you to get the hell out of my empty-ass daycare. So that was, so then we see Blanca. He goes back to, he was talking to his brother, and that's when he was trying to explain to his brother that the guy was really robbing him, and the brother was giving him the side eye, like, bro, I don't really think it went down the way you saying it went down. That's when you saw that whole situation transpire. Then he gets called back down to his campaign office, and it's Simon and Walsh, right? And Simon is basically telling him, look, bruh, you lost. She's on the winning ticket, and I'm going to need you to formally, you know, make a formal announcement so we can bring party unity. And Tate was like, why do y'all care? Like, why are y'all so concerned? If I'm polling at 1% and I'm doing all these things y'all say I'm doing, why do y'all care? Like, let her do what she's going to do. It don't have nothing to do with me, but I'm not conceding. Like, I'm not going to do what y'all want me to do. And he was like, and damn, Simon, I thought me and you was cool. Simon was like, let's be clear. I play for the winning team. You not the winning team anymore. That's it. That's all. Period. Blanca comes down there, and that's when Blanca told him, yo, it's off. We're not getting the warrant. It's over. Let it go. Just move on with your life. So, of course, he's like, damn it. You know, Ghost get the best of him. And he's really, that's the scene with Dre. Now, did we ever find out where the hell he got this $100,000 from? Did I miss it in this episode? Did they mention it? Let me know. And I'm not even being funny. I think maybe I just missed where they explained how he got $100,000 to pay Dre to kill Ghost. Now, with that being said, we see a scene with him and his brother. And this is where I'm talking about. They keep bringing up unnecessary shit that we don't need to know, that doesn't matter, that I don't care about. So we see this whole scene with his brother. They've taken him back down to the police station so he can give a formal statement about it. Because I was wondering, I was like, since when do you get to shoot somebody and I don't care if you a cop or not. You don't have to answer any questions. I didn't hear no sirens. I didn't hear nobody coming to look at the like, He just walked away and was like, yo, I gotta go down to my campaign office. I'm gonna call you later. And I was like, but what about the dead body in the alley? I didn't understand. They didn't address the dead body in the alley. It was just dead. Anyway, so we see him being questioned, and the police are giving Tate a pass, but his brother know it's some shit. His brother know that his brother know that Tate is on some shit at this point. He know he lying about. He was like, look, I feel this. The conversation they had in the car, he was like, I feel like you know this dude. I feel like there's more to this story. This dude didn't just randomly roll up on you. There's something there. There's a story there. And Tate was like, why you feel that way? Why do you feel that way? And his brother was like, and that's when we saw this conversation where his brother was like, you always win. You always land on your feet. No matter what goes on, you're the lucky one. And so Tate was like, what you mean I'm the lucky one? I'm not lucky. He was like, yes, you are. You're the lucky one. You always. So I was like, okay, we're going to bring this brother rivalry bullshit into it, where the brother feels like Tate always got the good, the big slice of cake, and he always was stuck with the crumbs. It was unnecessary. We didn't need to know it. We didn't need to see it. It didn't matter to the story. Not as far as the two of them. It comes back around at the end where, the way it ended. Then we see where the cops were basically going easy on him because he's former NYPD. And his brother was like, no, y'all need to question him a little deeper. Y'all need to question him a little deeper. The other thing Tate said when they were on their way to the police station was, well, what if St. Patrick ends up dead? I mean, Dre, because that's when they found out Dre was killed. No, this before they found out Dre was killed. Was this before they found out Dre was killed? Yeah, it was before they found out Dre was killed. And they were like, well, what if, Dre might say that I paid him to kill St. Patrick. And his brother was like, did you? Like, that was so random. Like, why would you just randomly pull out your ass? Well, he might say I had something to do with it, because they got the call that there was shots fired at Truth. Well, he might say I had something to do with it. He might say that I paid him. He might. That was so fucking random. Like, clearly you did. You paid him. You had something to do with it. Like, it wasn't no might to it. You clearly did it. So, they get to the scene at Truth. They find out that Ghost is dead. And he gives this whole, we must all come together, we must pray for him speech that, everybody, of course, the news people are waiting to hear his opinion, waiting to hear what he has to say. And he gives this whole we shall overcome speech, and everybody is eating out the palm of his hand, and the crowd is all like, yes, 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 yes. And that's when his brother comes up to him and he's like, you need to buy some lottery tickets, because once again, there you go. He was like, what made you think of all of that shit? He was like, I don't know, it just came in my head. And of course, now Tate got his swagger back, and he's smirking and shit, because he know the tides are turning in his direction, honey. So he got his little smirk on, he got his little swagger with him. And the other thing he does is he sort of throws a little something at the reporters about Ramona, insinuating that Ramona, well, he didn't insinuate, he came right out and said that Ramona was sleeping with James St. Patrick, right? Oh, I was like, this motherfucker. So we see the next day, he back in his suit, honey. He with his family. They getting ready to announce that he's now on the ticket for lieutenant governor. But he plays his hand, and I must say he played it well. He said, yeah, no, governor is back on the table. And of course, Walsh was sitting there with, it was Walsh, it was that DNC handler, and it was him. And Walsh was like, no, that's not what we agreed to on the phone. On the phone, we agreed that you would come on board as my lieutenant governor, and that's what we're doing. Like, you don't get to change the rules now. And Tate was like, well, see, you're the one who brought a murderous drug dealer onto your platform to run for governor, not me. So the way I see it, I have all the bargaining power. You don't. And the DNC guy was like, you know what? Walsh, go wait for me in the car. She was like, what? She was like, y'all are not going to screw me out of this. Y'all are not going to screw me. He was like, yeah, go wait in the car. We need to talk. And honey, Tate done flipped that shit, and he is right back in the governor's seat. He is right back on top. The DNC right back to giving him money. He giving speeches down to the church, honey. And after the church, after the speech at the church was when they found out that Dre was killed. So that's when his brother was like, you need to go. And Ramona tried to slide up to him and tried to, make nice with him, talking about yeah, you really do know how to land on your feet. And his brother was like, yeah, you need to go buy a bunch of lottery tickets, because once again, you the luckiest dude I know. Because of course he knows that there was some dirt there with Dre. Like, he knows there was some dirt there with Dre. Gets back down to the DNC office. Here comes Simon again. And like Simon told him, look, I'm on a winning team. Like, I'm going to be on the winning team. And you the winning team again. So, yes, here I am. And it is what it is. Then we see him in bed with the chick again. The woman he had been sleeping with before, that worked in his office. And, of course, she thinks she back in the saddle, honey. She thinks she back on the winning team, and they sleeping together and everything. And here come Ramona, and she coming there cussing him out, talking about something. How dare you tell those reporters that I slept with St. Patrick? He was like, oh, I mean, I thought you did. She was like, no, I didn't. He was like, oh, my bad. She was like, well, you should have, been sure before you said that. He said, well, you can always call me a liar and stuff, but for the rest of your career, you're going to have to answer those questions. Like, it's going to loom over you. Every job application you fill out, every, interview you go on, you're going to have to explain, your relationship to St. Patrick. And, of course, she slaps him, and old girl comes out the bedroom with a robe on, half naked, to let her know, yeah, we just got finished getting it in, and, letting her know, look, you need to go. We're busy. We got shit to do. And they they end up throwing her out the hotel room. And old girl thinks she in like Flynn, right? She talking about some, you ready? That turned me on. You ready for round 2? He was like, yeah, no, I'm good. You can go now. She was like, what? He was like, oh, I know you didn't think that me and you were going to be a thing again. I just needed to blow off some steam. But nah, as quickly as you jumped ship and you left me hanging, nah, bruh, you can roll out. And, of course, she cussed him out and got pissed off. But I said the same thing. I was like, you really thought that you was going to roll back up in here and everything was going to be Gucci? Nigga, you better go somewhere. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that word. And that's where the episode ended. So, I heard a long time ago that they were going to do a spinoff for him. That they were going to, that he was going to be, it was going to be called Tate. And it was going to be about him and the, as the governor. So I'm wondering if they set that up, or if they're going to just be focusing on book 2 and he'll be a part of book 2. I don't know. But neither here nor there, y'all. That's how the episode went down. I really felt like, once again, oh, and we know he didn't shoot ghosts. I felt like they could have rolled this in with Paz's episode. I don't feel like we needed a whole hour of Tate. I just don't. I just didn't. I don't feel like we needed it. But with that being said, that's how it went down. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.